She did spin it. She did check it. She did, by spinning it, by showing it to Mr. Halls, gave it to Mr. Halls. We then know that he had the firearm in the church, and that firearm then ended up with Mr. Baldwin. It was not given to Mr. Baldwin by Hannah. I believe they went to him through Mr. Halls. And that was the chain of custody of that weapon.
Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic voice in true crime. In this episode, we are going to continue to juxtapose the affidavit from Hannah Gutierrez Reed with that comprehensive and definitive article from the LA Times dated the 31st of October 2021, just 10 days after the incident. So going to point number 86 in the affidavit dealing with the law enforcement response. After law enforcement and medics attended to the shooting victims, Helena and Joel, inside the church, the sheriffs then secured the scene and began collecting evidence. In doing so, they found a suspected 7 live rounds distributed inside an ammo box, on the ammo cart, and in the bandoliers. The live rounds had Starline brass casings with nickel primers. Point number 87, pictures taken from the scene by authorities on October 21st show that other guns and the ammo box were missing from the cart. Hannah wasn't sure if someone had taken some of the items from the cart to the prop truck after the shooting. Number 88, law enforcement did not search the prop truck until a full 6 days later on October 27th. Before we get to the remainder of this episode, if you haven't subscribed, please do. Like, share, leave a comment, and let's get started. So that is something that can potentially help a defense case. If there's been any fiddling or interference with the weapons, with the ammunition, you could say, well, you know, the law enforcement didn't search the truck until 6 days later. You could have had a lot of potential interference and kind of contamination in that time. Number 89, regarding that search of the prop truck, Catherine Rowe Walters, on behalf of the production, told the sheriffs that she would unlock the padlock placed on the truck for them. However, throughout production on the Rust set, prior to the shooting, the prop truck was virtually always left unlocked and accessible by anyone. So yeah, you kind of have a discrepancy where someone on the production side said, don't worry, we always kept the prop truck secured every day, and she would unlock the padlock for them. Well, according to other people, the prop truck was almost always left unlocked and accessible. So you have another discrepancy there. Point number 90. After the police had arrived on October 21st and before Helena had been pronounced deceased, Seth Kenny, the CEO of PDQ Prop and Arm, the supplier to the Rust production, Seth made a call to a police officer in Bullhead City, Arizona, named Officer Troy Tesk. Officer Tesk is best friends with Tal Reed, that is Hannah's father. During that call from Seth to Troy at 4:03 p.m. on October 21st, just hours after the shooting and before Helena had been pronounced deceased, Seth stated words to the effect to Troy that Hannah had messed up. In other words, very early on, Seth was throwing Hannah under the bus. Point number 91. How and why Seth came to this almost immediate conclusion that Hannah had messed up and offered it up unsolicited to Troy is neither understood or yet to be explained or clarified. 92. Troy felt the call was very unusual in that Seth had made one of his first calls to him right after the incident. Now we're going to skip ahead a little bit to another section from the affidavit. Defendants attempt to shift blame and responsibility from themselves. So we go to point 99. On November 3rd, this is a month prior to Baldwin going on to ABC News, counsel for Hannah went on the Today Show and Good Morning America, and on behalf of Hannah indicated that they believed that the Rust set had been sabotaged and that someone had introduced live rounds on set.
We are looking at that possibility. We're afraid that could have been what happened here, that somebody intended to sabotage this set, with a live round intentionally placed in a box of dummies. Otherwise, you wouldn't, first of all, you wouldn't bring a live round on the set. But second of all, why do you place that in the box labeled dummies that the armorer is going to be pulling from? Everybody knows they're going to be getting them from there. Why would you do that? Other than to try to cause some incident on the set. Now, we're not saying anybody had any intent there was going to be a tragedy, a homicide, but they wanted to do something to cause a safety incident on set. That's what we believe happened.
Number 100. On that same day, on November 3rd, Seth texted Troy, obviously once again blaming Hannah for the accidental shooting. Interestingly, in the affidavit, they refer to accidental shooting in inverted commas. Point 101. Thereafter, late in November 2021, Seth Kenney texted Hannah and attempted to have her drop her claims of sabotage and to instead cooperate with the police and implicate A.D. Halls as being the person responsible for the tragedy. Seth suggested that A.D. Halls, that's Assistant Director Dave Halls, had essentially bullied Hannah and not allowed her to do her job safely. Seth stated that if she would shift blame to Halls, he would have her back. And so what you're seeing here are apparently maneuvers by the prop supplier, firstly to throw Hannah under the bus, saying Hannah messed up, and then later on saying, let's implicate Dave Halls. Let's make him responsible for the tragedy. And one wonders whether this person who is making these maneuvers, does he have a case to answer for? Is that why he's doing these shenanigans? Then point 102, Seth also texted Thel Reed and essentially suggested that he get Hannah to drop claims of sabotage and to not let Hannah drag himself or Thel into this. Point 104, the day after the shooting, Thel Reed, this is really interesting, Thel Reed was set to fly out from Las Vegas, Nevada to get his daughter Hannah in Albuquerque. So this was the 22nd of October, the day after the shooting. 105, while in Albuquerque, Thel also wanted to retrieve an ammo can and live rounds that Seth had taken from him on the prior movie set in August or September 2021. So no matter what you say about how inexperienced Hannah was, her father was very experienced. He was someone with a lot of knowledge and expertise, and he was sort of coming in to help his daughter and sort of rescue his daughter and figure out what was going on. And his first visit was to PDQ Prop and Arms. He wanted to find that ammo can and live rounds that Seth Kenney had taken. It was actually his can that Seth Kenney had in his possession. And so that was his first port of call. 106. Thel had only told Seth, Hannah, and Troy, that's the police officer, about his flight. Strangely, when he got to the airport, American Airlines told Thel that a Thel Reed had called to cancel his flight. Thel said, that is impossible. I'm Thel Reed. I never called. 107. The airline was able to rebook Thel on a later flight, but it pushed him back a day. So that's also quite interesting. It just adds to the plot thickening and the intrigue surrounding this case. 108. It was apparent to Thel that defendant Seth Kelly had to be the one who called to cancel his flight in an attempt to thwart his plans to come to Albuquerque or at least delay them. Neither Troy nor Hannah made the call cancelling the flight, and nor did Thel himself. 109. When Thel got to Albuquerque, he proceeded to Seth's house / PDQ arm and prop location. So Hannah's father arrives in Albuquerque, and the first place he goes to is to Seth Kenney's home or office. Unlike every other time Thel had come, this time Seth did not invite him into his home or into the PDQ arm and prop location. When Thel asked for his ammo can back, Seth said for him to just write it off and that he would use the rounds on other sets. Thel agreed, and Seth maintained possession of the ammo can and rounds. 110. Upon execution of a search warrant on PDQ arm and prop about 4 weeks later, authorities found the ammo can belonging to Thal, but it was empty of the live rounds. And so a lot of people have been asking the question, how did the live rounds get onto set? Was possible via this particular ammo can. 111. Thal has identified this ammo can as being his. 112. Thal would testify that Hannah never had access to nor possession of the live reloaded Starline brass rounds that were found on the Rust set, but that Seth took hundreds of the live Starline brass rounds with him in the ammo can from the prior movie set. 118. The live reloaded Starline brass rounds, upon information and belief, originated from a known reloader, then went to Thal Reed and into the Thal Reed ammo can to defendant Seth Kenny. It's becoming clearer who is responsible, isn't it? Certainly for the live rounds getting onto the set. So I'm not going to take it further than that. I will be doing another follow-up episode dealing with the most important questions, the real question we really need to answer in terms of this particular case. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.